we are proud to invite Mr. Naeem Khan from Foodies. Foodies.in is a delivery startup in the city of Hyderabad and is seeking to raise around $4 to $5 million in its first external fundraise as a 3-year-old venture shifts into its next phase of growth. Founded by Mr. Naeem Khan, an advertising and communication professional, Foodies.in serves as a portal connecting the restaurants to its target market. The firm differentiates itself in the INR 10 billion industry through its food order and delivery service model. Unlike other operations who take the customer orders through call-in or online portals and depend on the restaurants to physically deliver the door to the customer's doorstep, Foodies operates as a full-service firm which does its deliveries through its in-house team of delivery executives. It is partnered with over 50 restaurants, including Four Seasons, Paradise, etc. Foodies.in has 3 major revenue streams: home deliveries, corporate deliveries, and Foodies Bus Meal. The Bus Meal concept, launched in a tie-up with abhibus.com, ensures that an overnight bus traveler can book his or her meal online at abhibus.com. The organized restaurant sector in the country is slated to double its turnover to INR 215 billion by 2017, with the food delivery market pegged to be at a whopping INR 60 billion within the same time frame. We are proud to invite Mr. Naeem Khan, who would like to share his thoughts.
Good morning, or rather good afternoon. I think we almost there. To begin with, I'm very, very happy to be with all of you. Very happy to be listening to my fellow speakers and their experiences. And very happy to see you all drink in all the information and the advice that we have for you. I have been an entrepreneur maybe a little longer than my fellow speakers. Not that that makes me any better. But obviously, it's something that I can speak about vis-a-vis the journey that's been a little longer and the changes that I saw along the way. I got on to be an entrepreneur as early as 1993, which is 21 years back, when I had the opportunity as a 23-year-old to take on the operations of a fledgling advertising agency then from Mumbai called Percept Advertising, which is itself growing. So I took on the Hyderabad operations. I was then working for BBDO, which you must all be aware of. And as a senior account executive, it was an opportunity I couldn't believe had come my way. But obviously a stroke of luck, and that's the first point I'd like to make to you. An opportunity comes, it knocks, there is a luck factor. Recognize it. Recognize it. I think that's the most important thing, and jump in. A lot of people, including myself, I was nervous. Now, there I was, a senior account executive, and how could I be handling agency by myself? How could I have a team under me? What would I do with the clients? Could I compete with my ex-boss? Because I would be pitching in against the BBDO. Hello, I mean, those were thoughts that did cross my mind, but I think a lot of, well, I won't call it bravery, but a lot of courage came into play there, and maybe it was the age. 23 is a time when I would imagine some of you would be there, but there's a lot of drive, but there's a lot of hot blood, self-belief, and I jumped in. And I'm very happy at it, because over the next 3 years, we converted, and I wouldn't say I, because I had a very good team with me, Percept Advertising to be the largest advertising agency in Hyderabad. And I was then given the opportunity to start the Bangalore and Chennai operations too, so we really do. But then something else happened, which is something I again like to explain in detail. I got a little bored of this whole thing. I wanted to be in advertising for the challenge of it, for the communication and the strategy and the excitement of handling brands. I realized I got on to be more of a PR speaker who went in, did a pitch, smiled my way through, took a client out for dinner and a drink, and just tried to flow people over, and then had a team to work with things. That wasn't exciting. I was too young to be retiring. I looked at it as retirement. That's when, that was around 94, 95, and that's when the media boom was beginning to happen. More and more channels were coming up, print media was booming, more newspapers opening up, and I realized that very soon the media boom in India would be very huge. It also meant another thing. It meant that the consumer would be targeted from all directions, which is what is happening now, which is what happened 10 years back. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you get onto the net, there's something for you to see in terms of an ad, you read the newspaper, you switch on the TV, you drive to work, there's a billboard, and so on and so forth. At that time I realized the important thing to do would be to get into below the line communication, or BTL. The important thing then was to be able to give brands the opportunity and the tools to be able to reach out to consumers directly. Because mass media advertising, I realized, was getting on to be a place where you just couldn't keep up vis-a-vis the media that was coming through. So was born The Lead. The Lead was the baby that was my first baby, and very, very important to me. And it was started off as a BTL company, essentially doing a lot of strategy on direct consumer contact, programs on market activations, on brand strategy, so on and so forth. Now that's what I loved. That's where a lot of grey matter came into play, or the grey matter I thought I had came into play. And it worked. And so it went on. I'm just trying to give you a chronology before I get into what I really want to say. During these last 20 years, or around 2 decades of The Lead, we've had many opportunities to reinvent ourselves, which I think is a very, very important part of entrepreneurship. When we started The Lead, let me share with you, there were no software to design advertising. We're discussing days when we had to copy from a black book, send text for typesetting. You wouldn't even know these things. I mean, it's so ancient and so long back. And I go back to that, I just can't believe that we lived in those days. So the technology coming into our business, say starting in the 90s till now, has completely turned the world upside down. It has also meant companies like us, agencies like us who were there, who have been there, had to constantly reinvent ourselves, understand what was happening in the market and be ready for it. Otherwise we'll be wiped out. So the journey continued, and it was again around 97 that I decided that I couldn't be running 2 agencies, which is what I was doing. Lead was the BTL and Percept was the above the line or the mass media agency. And it was very odd to be carrying 2 visiting cards to begin with. So I managed to divorce myself from Percept, and divorce is the word, because we were very strongly, and Harinder Singh, who still is a very dear friend, wasn't very willing to let go, but then it finally worked out. Lead then became a fully integrated marketing communication agency, and that's when I really loved the whole idea. That's how we've continued all these years, from 97 to now. However, again, there was a little bit of a change around 2005. That's when we decided to get out of mass media. Because mass media, again, the entire market has changed. The bulk buyers now. In Mumbai, you're buying media from Times of India, which is, say, 4,000 rupees a square centimeter at 1,500 rupees a square centimeter. There's no way you can compete with that. So we got mass media out of the way, and now The Lead has continued to be a kind of a strategy agency, a very boutique setup, handling very large multinational clients. So this was The Lead. Now, fair enough, I didn't come here to talk about The Lead, but I had to give you a small rundown. It was around early 2011 that I decided I needed to do something with life, something more. I'd done enough and more of this, and there was a sense of monotony that I had set in, I'll be honest. And food was an interesting idea to me, because I love to write. So just share with you, I was a food critic for Times of India and Hyderabad for around a year and a half. So it involved me going and checking out restaurants and writing about them for a year and a half, which was very nice for the first 6-8 months. Then after that, to find a restaurant, go eat there, if you didn't like the food and write was a little difficult. But had to be done, did it. So there was a connect with the food industry. I loved food, and I'll be honest with you, the communication and the Mahabom industry that I was a part of has 2 major problems. One is late and delayed payments, the other is bad debts. We're constantly fighting that. There's no two ways about it. They are huge. I mean, check out with even large agencies, you'll realize that there are issues with bad debts and delayed payments. I wanted a business that gave me money across the counter. I said, I do not want to give credit to anybody. I want, if I am to earn that 50 paisa, I wanted it to be paid then. And that's when food came up. But then food production is a different ballgame altogether. When you want to start a restaurant, when you get into food production, it's a very, very, very different ballgame. And I didn't want to go in there because I had no experience or I didn't really understand that industry. So came the idea of service, right? Service in the food industry. And like many people in urban cities, I've had my issues of trying to get food home and friends come over and then you run here and there trying to find a driver to go get it. Very messy. The idea started really taking shape around January 2011 and I just spoke to some of the restaurants who were very dear friends. Obviously Hyderabad was that much easier for me and everybody just said go get it. So between Jan and May, in those 4 months, we put the entire thing together, including a very robust ordering software, proper branding, which of course was very much in-house because of the advertising experience, and it went on road. This is how it is. It's been 3 years of Foodies now, and it's done pretty well. And I'm very happy to say that we've grown on a good 50+% year on year without any advertising or any push. We're very operationally very strong. Technology is in place. But then that's about it about my companies and my businesses. I'd like to talk to you about, through my experience, 2 particular things with all of you. One is romanticism versus realism in entrepreneurship. Okay, there's a huge amount of romanticism to entrepreneurship. My business, my baby, I'll do it, I'll win the world, I'll take over. Which is important. The passion, that emotion is very, very important. Believe me, you can't be an entrepreneur without that. That's very important. But on the other side is the balancing factor. Take it like a balance. You've got romanticism, you've got realism. And unless and until you can balance it right, you're not going anywhere. Market forces, competition, government policies, name it all, that's realism. You can be flying, you can be anywhere, but then there's going to be one government policy that makes the palla bhari, very, very bhari on the realism side. So this is a very important part, and this is where I'd like to maybe give 1 or 2 instances in terms of realism versus romanticism. When I started Foodies, and within, it was a very basic business 3 years back. Just to share with you, there was just about one Tasty Khana in Pune. We had just started. Tasty Khana was ahead of us by a couple of years. There was a very old company called Meals on Wheels in Mumbai and a few others. Now, as I started off, I was clear of one thing, and that is we need to be a 360 degrees provider in terms of the entire business. We knew that Food Panda was coming in, we knew that things are happening, and we realized that these were companies which were essentially just taking orders, online and passing on the order to the particular restaurant to deliver. So there is a disconnect between the order taker and the order provider was huge. What also happened is that there was a spurt of funding that happened maybe a year and a half back in this segment. Not just in India but abroad too. In the US it's been really crazy even here. And everybody had this one thing to say. You just need to be an ordering guy. Why do you want to break your head? Why do you want logistics? Why do you want logistics at all? Why do you want people? Just do this and there are people willing to put in whatever, 1, 2, 5 million, go on, get it. Now that was very romantic. Just imagine there was a business just about a year and a half old and there was this opportunity to completely make a business into just an ordering portal and pick up money from the market and see where it goes. But then the realism that really ensured that I held back to my model was the fact that the last mile connectivity in India, in any sector, especially in urban India, is something that we all need to look at. In fact, that's an opportunity that I'll open up to all of you who want to be entrepreneurs. In any field, in any line, be it the food chain supply, be it any other line, finally, how can you take a service or a product to a consumer's doorstep? That is the challenge in India. That is the challenge that we really are facing and we need to do something about. That's where a lot of scope is there, not just in food delivery, but in everything else. That's the reason Flipkarts and the Amazons are, why aren't people going to malls? Why is Flipkart able to do $1 billion of sales on a particular day? because finally it's reaching home, right? So this is how we held on to it. So there's this example of romanticism versus realism. The romanticism was to pick up money from the market, become one of the many, right? Become one of the many and see how it goes. Reality check for me was the fact that this is our differentiator. This is what will hold us in good stead in the long run. Very, very important that we hold on to it, because finally there's going to be a shakeout. Everybody can't just be taking orders. Finally somebody's got to get your food home, right? I mean, finally food has to come home or to your office. It just can't be an order online. Obviously you can't send food through the internet. I mean, we're still not there. And I'm sure we never will be. So there's got to be physical movement between point A and point B. That's the last mile connectivity. So this project is based around that, and that's how we'll be going. There's so many other examples that I can share with you on romanticism versus realism. Not just from my own companies or my personal experiences, but from what you see around you. Very often you will see companies who take a very tough stand, and do not walk the easy path, making it big. That is realism. When you want to walk the easy path, that's romanticism, because it's my baby going somewhere, somebody's giving the baby candy, let me go for the candy. No, but if you put your baby onto a difficult path, okay, but the baby eventually will get candy, but would have earned the candy. That's when the baby is going to go into something. These are, I mean, let's be honest, the business is a child. All my fellow speakers have been using the word child and baby, and I completely reiterate that. Because you've got to really bring it up as a child. I don't know if any one of your parents, I doubt it. But then remember what your parents did. And you've got to bring up your business purely as a child. Give it values that you want to give. Integrity. That's what your parents taught you. You've got to give your business integrity. You've got to give the baby vision there. I mean, what do you want to be better as you grow up? Right? So business. What do you want to be better as you grow up? So, and obviously you've got to impart that to your baby, you know, and that's your baby in terms of your physical child or your business. It's the same thing. Finally, one important thing I'd like to share with you is about something that I've learned myself after a long time, and I learned it maybe 4 or 5 years back. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you're an entrepreneur, don't be all consumed by me, I, myself. Okay? Don't take yourself too seriously. You are just about a cog in the wheel of a large happening in the world of business. You are important, but you're not indispensable, you're not irreplaceable. Have your feet firmly on the ground. Very important. And I suppose Akanksha said something towards the end of her talk, which is where I think this ties in, which is never be too busy. You need to have a life. You need to have a life. So if you just are consumed by business 24/7, that's why you're sitting in the night crunching numbers and saying, "Aaj ka turnover ye hua, ye week kya hoga, wo hoga." That's what you go to sleep with. No, you need to. There's got to be a turn-off time. There's nothing that's going to happen with your business between 8 in the night and 8 the next morning. And I use this term very often. Remember, accepting cardiothoracic surgeons, okay, or such doctors who save lives. No other business or no other job is as urgent. Okay, so if you don't reply to an email at 8:30 in the night, it's okay. You're not saving a life. So we've all got this habit of, immediate, and it's like instantaneous. It's like you do, and that person is as instantaneous. We're just discussing work and business. It's not going to turn around. Nothing is coming to an end. Chill out. So that's what I mean by not taking yourself too seriously. And I think if you pass this message on, you've got to, then your perspective towards business also changes. Do you understand? Your stress levels come down. Because then you start seeing it as a third party. It's very important to be able to have a bird's eye view of your business. Be able to rise above your business and look down on it as a third party. But if you're so consumed and into it, there is no way that you will rise above. So time again, you should have the ability to rise above, look down, see where it's going, what's going wrong, and take a reality check. So this is what I had to share with you in a few words. Thank you.